Okay, y'all, I'm really trying to channel the Lucy Gray like rainbow ruffles thing. I don't know how it's working out though. Hello everyone, my name is Sydney and welcome back to my channel. I've been dying to make this video for such a long time. This book came out a couple weeks ago and I just now got to read it, and so I am like fumbling to get this video out. So on May 19th, Suzanne Collins released The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, and I have died. I have died. I've gone to heaven. Like, I'm just gone. This book was phenomenal, but before I get into it, I'm going to once more rehash how I do my book reviews. Because there are so many book reviews on YouTube, I decided that in order to make it a little bit simpler, especially if you haven't read the book and you're trying to figure out should you read the book, that's exactly what I'm going to try and do. I'm trying to argue why you should read this book. And then after that, my spoilers section is my top 3 moments, although this book has 3 normals and 1 honorable mention. Oh, I also give like a summary of the book. I try and do a different summary than what they usually give, but I mean, it's gonna sound the same, so just brace yourself. Without further ado, let's just talk about my demise for a second. Coriolanus Snow. First of all, it took me years to pronounce his name right. Coriolanus. Snow is a student studying at the Capital Academy, hoping to rescue his family from the impending embarrassment of financial and reputational ruin. Is reputational a word? I don't know, but we just made it up. His family's poor, they have no money, and they're starting to lose their entire credibility, practically. For his final project, assigned to mentor a district tribute in the Hunger Games, his wishes of getting a promising tribute don't come true, as if he's already set up to fail. Instead, he is given the lowest of the low to work with, which is the female tribute from District 12. Y'all, you get to watch how Snow evolves from aspiring and hardworking to scheming and ambitious and the true person that we know him to be in the original trilogy. But more than that, you finally get to understand and see all the pieces of the puzzle that create the villain that we know today. Alright, so there's your summary. I'm going to put the book down and I'm going to explain why you should read this book. The first thing I have for you guys is that the title could not be more true, and seeing it come together is absolutely breathtaking. Suzanne Collins did such a good job with this book. Also, I'd like to show you, the difference in size. This is the entire trilogy. This is just Snow's part. That is how much character development she gives him. Need I say more? But yeah, number 2, the character development is absolutely just lush. It's just all around beautiful. She takes her time with it. She's not gonna rush this book. Why do you think I think it was 500 pages? I think it's 517 pages. It is gorgeously crafted and it is the perfect dose. And for a character like Snow, most villains in an original series are just boom, they're bad. Like they've always been bad. You get to watch his transformation and that's just golden. Number 3 of why you should read this book is the plot. If you've read the books, you'll be able to keep up. If you've watched the movies and not read the books, you will still be able to keep up. It's amazing. I really had such a hard time putting the book down. She would end chapters on such a good note to where you'd have to keep reading, especially once you reach the middle of it. Also, something about the plot, yes, he's mentoring someone in the 10th Hunger Games, but it's not entirely about the Hunger Games. It's about Snow. So yes, the Hunger Games are an aspect of the story, but it's not the whole picture. Number 4 of why you should read this book is if you've seen the movies or you've read the books of the original series, you will be able to see just how far the games have come since the 10th versus the 74th. You will be able to clearly visualize that jump in time in so many different aspects, both for good and bad, mainly for worse. The 5th reason that you should read this book is that Suzanne Collins highlights on themes of oppression, war, control, and the line between good and evil. And that's the thing, you can have a good time reading a book, but the best books are when you just have a blast reading it and they teach you a little bit about something that could be going on in the real world. At the time that I'm filming this, we are at least over a week into the Black Lives Matter protests, so reading this on top of seeing everything in the news is extremely eye-opening, and you can clearly see a thread between the two. And the last reason you should read this, among many others, are definitely the connections that the author makes. So many facets of the original trilogy are brought up in this book. You get an explanation for the hanging tree and a particular mutation. And there's more I want to talk about, but I don't want to spoil anything. So I'm just going to leave that there. Now I'm going to get into my spoiler. Yeah, it is spoiler. I shouldn't do air quotes. I'm going to spill the tea. I'm going to talk about my favorite moments, my honorable mention, and my 3 favorites. If you haven't read the book, I really do suggest you leave now. However, if you're one of those people that you like to know what happens so that you're not anxious reading the book, you can go ahead and stay. I'm not going to kick you out. All right, fam. Let's talk about my honorable mention. My honorable mention favorite moment for this book would be Lucy Gray winning the games. Did not see it coming. When I heard about this book coming out, I immediately thought, oh my gosh, Snow is assigned to mentor the District 12 female. She's gonna die, but he's gonna fall in love with her. She's gonna die in the arena, and he's forever gonna have a vendetta for District 12 and later Katniss because she wins. That is not what happened at all. Lucy Gray won the games. I certainly didn't think that was going to happen. Did you? However, the way that Suzanne Collins, like one by one, kind of bettered her odds by tributes dying off before the games even started. First of all, I was really thinking that they were going to replace the tributes, like they were going to have to play with 24. But as we saw Snow building a connection with Lucy Gray, the odds were in her favor, especially with the cheating. Oh my gosh. But yes, she won the games. I should have known that Lucy Gray had it in her to poison people. She mentioned that she only would kill in self-defense, but that's not the case. She killed with the rat poison on her own accord. I should have seen it, but it just goes to show that Snow and Lucy Gray had a little bit more in common than we thought. You know, we both thought them to be pretty innocent at the time, but psych! I'm so glad she won the games, though. I will say that Jessup truly did remind me of Peeta just a little bit. I really felt bad when he got rabies and he died. I knew Jessup wasn't going to win. I knew there wasn't going to be a case where there were 2 victors. I kind of knew Jessup was going to die protecting Lucy Gray, and that was very Peeta Malark of him. And it was just really sweet. But then once Lucy Gray was on her own, you really saw her acting on her own accord. You know, because with a shield like Jessup in her corner, but once he's gone, she's got to fend for herself. And you know what she does? She uses the poison. She was stealthy, man. Number 3, my 3rd favorite moment. It's kind of a compilation of moments, but it's anything surrounding Sejanus Plinth. I loved Sejanus's character so much. Sejanus came from District 2 and he was assigned the male District 2 tribute. First of all, cruel, and they did it intentionally. We got to watch the snowball effect of him breaking down and realizing this is wrong. And that's the thing. In the landscape of the capital, coming to terms with the fact that the Hunger Games are wrong and the oppression of the districts is not okay, they characterized Sejanus as a loon. They literally thought he was crazy. And the thing is, it only further characterized him in that light when he went into the arena. You know, Snow had to fish him out and he was fine then. But even in 12, even in one of the districts, he was just a mess. You know, first he was like, I'm just gonna die in the arena. I deserve to be with Marcus. You know, Marcus was his classmate. He knew him personally and he grew up with him. I couldn't even imagine. That was really bad. But in 12, he was like, I'm gonna go to the north. We're gonna escape. I can't do this anymore. You know, that's a little bit better than suicide, but at the same time, you know, he couldn't even handle the job of silencing the civilians. He wanted them to have a voice. He was trying to use his voice and used his, I guess, economic privilege to try and translate the fact that this is bad and this is not okay to do to human beings. Once we saw Arlo being hanged, I pretty much knew Sejanus was gonna die. I just didn't know that he was gonna go the same way until he started plotting up a way to rescue Lil and have everybody escape to the north and him leave his peacekeeping behind. I really liked Sejanus. I truly sympathized with his character. You know, Lucy Gray had balls on her, but I really do think that Sejanus was the bravest character in the book. My second favorite part of the book would be the connections that she made, particularly about Katniss, Snow's hatred of the Mockingjays, and the hanging tree. I really didn't think that she was going to weave it all together like that, but she did the damn thing, and I am so glad she did. I really just loved the mention of Katniss. Didn't think that she was going to do that. I actually didn't know that Katniss was a plant. stupid, I know. Especially the fact that most of the connections were from Lucy Gray. So many things that pissed Snow off in the original series are things that he was secretly attached to in this book, and most of it involves Lucy Gray. The fact that she took the time to mention Katniss as a plant and something that Lucy Gray and her Covey like plucked out, that's even better, because Katniss's very existence in the other books piss him off and remind him of her. It's just the hatred of the Mockingjays was a really cool thing though. When Snow was a peacekeeper in 12, he thought the Jabberjays were pretty interesting and the Mockingbirds were fine, but he immediately had a distaste and a hatred for the Mockingjays. He literally talked about how they were unnatural and that they should die out swiftly. All the better that Katniss becomes the Mockingjay. I just love how even in these early stages of Snow in this book, Suzanne literally just drives him into the dirt. It's great. Literally before Katniss came to be, he hated everything about her. 12, the Mockingjay, her name, the fact that she was the District 12 female and she won. She is a living reminder of his screw up. Last but certainly not least, the best part of this book was seeing Snow land on top. This was a recurring phrase between Tigress and him, and I think sometimes the Grand Mam. You know, their family was going to be on top either way. Snow lands on top. You know, when he was being made fun of by Dean Highbottom, it was always, you hear that? That's the sound of snow falling. I bet that was like nails on a chalkboard for Coriolanus. But man, when Snow landed on top, I love a good villain origin story. And when I started reading this, I thought this, this really isn't a villain. This is just an entitled boy. But then you saw his poverty and you're like, maybe not so entitled. Yeah, he's in the capital, but he's not doing so hot. How does this man become president? How does he become president? Where do I start? I would say that cheating in the Hunger Games was the start, because he was able to get his tribute to win the games. He really fought tooth and nail for that plinth prize to get a scholarship to university, and then he had it stripped away and he was assigned to be a peacekeeper in District 12. Of course he didn't want to go there, but he went there for Lucy Gray. And after the whole experience with her, he was able to understand that love made him vulnerable, and that was not a feeling he enjoyed. And that's what I want to highlight on for like a split second before I talk about all the other bat crap that he did. Villains are not incapable of love. Love to a villain is either demented or a feared, irrational, and uncomfortable feeling. And because villains like control, they're gonna push any discomfort away. And that's exactly what Snow did. Yes, we could tell that Snow and Lucy Gray hit it off and they bonded, and I bet they did fall in love. I didn't think it was deep, true love, but I did think that they fell in love. However, seeing all the control that Snow lost to Lucy Gray, even though Lucy Gray was seen as this fragile thing that would die in the first 5 minutes of the Hunger Games without all those other tributes dying and without Snow's help, that characterized Snow as weak. And he wasn't okay with that. Seeing him betray Sejanus, man, I knew there was going to be one thing that really did him in, and when it was Sejanus, I think it was when Snow found all that money in Sejanus's diploma frame. He had a second chance to get his rich monetary control-filled life back. He realized that the one variable that could ruin it for him was Lucy Gray. I knew something was going to happen. If she was going to win the games, she was going to be a target immediately by Snow. I always knew in my head that if somehow Lucy Gray survived the games, she was going to get taken out somehow. I will add that I don't think that she died when he shot after her. I think she lived, because think about it. I knew he was going to turn the tables on Lucy, and I'm really sad he did, but at the same time, he can't really be president and have Lucy Gray. And then he got his life back. He goes to the Capitol. He gets to go to the university on what I believe is an implied full ride scholarship. He gets to train as a game maker with Dr. Gall. He steals the plinth fortune from Sejanus, someone who he literally called his brother. close enough to his brother, and he killed Dean Highbottom, which at first I thought was a little unnecessary, but at the same time, you know, Snow basically coined all of this stuff that the Hunger Games is now. And though we don't know the entire logistics of how he became president, it's fair to assume that it wasn't long after that, once he reached a certain age. The thing that really got it was when he realized the humiliation of the Capitol in being so involved with their students in the 10th Hunger Games and mentoring and having all these Capitol kid casualties. It was embarrassing. And so they had to get rid of it, which means that Lucy Gray and her victory and Snow's screw-ups were eradicated. So many questions I have in my head come from the fact that they basically erased the 10th Hunger Games from existence. None of the districts really viewed it or knew much about what had happened. Their tributes just participated in it. You know, Lucy Gray, if she didn't die when Snow tried to shoot at her, she probably ran off into the north. And if somehow she was still alive for the 75th Hunger Games where they could reap from the pool of existing victors, you know, Snow wasn't gonna admit that. You know, I think to myself, did Snow, you know, go back and have people like investigate her and find out if she was still alive? Did he send in people to kill her when the 75th Hunger Games was coming, when they reaped from the existing pool of victors? Because think about it, that was the 10th Hunger Games. The 11th Hunger Games, Mags was the winner. Mags was alive. Lucy Gray could have been alive. So did they hide her? Did they kill her? Was she already dead? But I love that Suzanne characterized Lucy Gray as Lucy Gray from William Wordsworth. She was a ghost girl, and that's exactly what she became. All that power and all that promise that she had for herself, Snow took with him back to the Capitol and used for his own personal benefit. I also wonder, because we didn't get a lot of mention of what happened to him in Tigris, I wanted to know what happened with that fallout. I wanted to see how that became a thing. Did the money that he inherited from the Plinth fortune go to his head? We don't know. The last thing I will say about this book, and as a review, is that I am such a sucker for a villain. I am simping for this man. Simping! Which is weird because, like, first of all, like, he's a bad guy. Duh. But at the same time, he was talking about marriage when he was still in love with Lucy Gray, and he was thinking, because love makes him vulnerable, he should probably marry someone he hates. Snow has a granddaughter. Who did it? I'm gonna come after you, because look at this man. Yum. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you like it, give it a thumbs up. Please recommend a friend to read this book. I literally could not handle myself. If you want to talk about this book too, please leave a comment below. I would love to have a discussion about this. Once more, my name is Sydney. I make new videos whenever I can, I guess. And until next time, bye you guys.